And now I invite Dr. ALOK Sen from SNC Chitrakoot, who has got large patient base, to uh, s- deliberate on expansion plan for Indian ophthalmology network.
Thank you, Vibhuti sir. Good afternoon to you all. Uh, it's it's indeed an honor to be part of this clinical trial network for us from Chitrakoot. And I'm Dr. Alok Sen. I'm heading the cataract and retina and uveitis services at Chitrakoot. So I'll be talking about strategies to expand the network. So we have in last 3 years, 4 years, we have gone through some very troubled times, but with adversaries, as they say, comes opportunity. As Sir was also mentioning in his trial, in his so, COVID, what it has taught us is the power of collaboration. And the vaccine that we, even in India, developed was in record time as compared to any other vaccines in the past. Another in ophthalmology, what we see is the drcr.net, which is an American similar to what we are planning to have in India, a clinical trial network, which involves not only big academic institutes but also private practitioners there. And there are more than 400 retina specialists, and they have conducted many multicentric research, particularly in diabetic eye disease. And mind you, these were not industry driven research. These were something that had with very pertinent questions. Most of the trials were PI initiated. So that's the importance of collaborating and coming into a network. So my the outline of my talk is to why we are 6 centers now. Why do we need to expand? What are the challenges for expansion, and what strategies we have thought of? And it's an open discussion, so you can also put your views on it. So you will all agree, and those who have conducted clinical trials in their hospitals, that the biggest challenge in conducting any clinical trial is to recruit patients. And this is because in India, the patient do not have access to clinical trials. Patient doesn't know where the trial is going on, and most of the trial centers, they passively actually recruit patients. Patients are not going for trial, so that is one major challenge. So what if we expand, like from 6, if we are 30, as Dr. Gopal was mentioning in his presentation, it will allow a larger access. Large number of patients can then access to all the multiple centers that we would have in the clinical trial network. It will help in faster recruitment. Most of the companies, they are worried about recruitment because the recruitment is a very troublesome and slow process. And not only that, because you have a wider variety of patients from different geographic, India being a big country, maybe we can expand to even Southeast Asia because we have similar kind of population. It will improve the quality of data that comes out of these trials. Moreover, it will enhance cooperation and resource sharing between the hospitals. And this, along with the faster recruitment of the patients, most of the industries would be attracted to us, and that would reduce and speed up the pace at which we conduct clinical trial. So, and most importantly, it will bring together like-minded innovators. Like, as I said, most of the questions or the clinical trials that drcr.net brought about were basically PI initiated. So lot of brainstorming can come in through collaboration. So what are the advantages that an institution can have if they come and be part of this clinical trial network? Is that they would get, because once you are in a network, you will get an opportunity to have more researchers or industry driven trials coming to you. You also get visibility because now you are in a big group, and you publish, you get visibility, and also you get funding opportunity, because if we start writing grants together, then we have more chances of getting through. uh, most importantly, as professionals, we because we get training in different aspects of medicine, which we never got during our medical school. Our professional skills and other skills also enhance. So as there is an opportunity for professional growth. And of course, it's fun to be networking with people who are innovators, like-minded, and it is hand-holding each other and uh, helping each other to move forward. But there are challenges, and these were some of the challenges were already highlighted by the previous speakers. The most important is the resource, because we need fund, and the initial phase of the study or initial part of the development of CTN was funded by BIRAC. Now in future, if we want to expand, we would need fund. The institutions that would want to connect with us would expect something to for infrastructure, for HR and other things. So that is one major challenge. There could be regulatory barriers like the ethics committee and other things that can come in. Again, this has been highlighted by the previous two speakers. We need to harmonize our protocols in the OPDs. We all work in different centers, have our own way of work culture. And there could be, as sir was saying, there could be already competitive trials, or already there are centers who are already doing clinical trials. So why would they want to connect with us? But most importantly is this, like once we are into a network, the decision on intellectual property and data management, especially data safety and security, is thing that we would want to consider before we expand. So what strategies we plan is, like we want to collaborate with some of the academic or most of the academic centers across India, hospitals like someone in the crowd in the meeting was mentioning that from Disha Hospital there were who would like to join us as a network. So we are looking for partners. They could be private hospitals, it could be a government hospital, academic institute, whatever. But we need to expand. The other thing that we look forward to is to have collaboration with other clinical trial networks like diabetic clinical trial network or oncology network, so that we can have cross network collaborations. And as was mentioned previously also, that we are looking at other diseases like cornea, glaucoma, uveitis, so that we can have and you can expand on those aspects as well. The second is like how do we make the clinical trial network more visible is by having a strong brand. Like drcr.net is a very strong brand. Anybody would want to join them. So similarly, the IOCTN would like to have a brand of that level. And this we intend to do by publishing high quality research papers. We already have a good, huge data on some of the retinal diseases, and we would expand it to other diseases as well. Like participating in conferences like this would help the CTN be more visible. We have a website, and we also would try to be more active on social media. But important is to have some patient-centric researches, because then most of the ophthalmology or most of the centers would be interested in joining us. So that is something that we would like to address. And as Gopal sir was already mentioning, that not all questions or not all answers that we get from the Western trials may fit into an Indian population. We also look for funding, and if we are a strong multi-centric network, then most of the industries and even the government agencies would be interested in funding us. So that is what we plan to. So in summary, expansion of clinical trial network will not only accelerate the development of treatments and therapies, uh, and ensure a broader application of the clinical trial results, but it will also help in sustaining the clinical trial network in the future. Thank you so much.
The way forward, like we have shifted now this from retina registry to now other registry also. At the end of the day, what we want to achieve? We want to achieve a kind of network which is trial ready. Somehow, our competitors are the private SMOs. So, we need to understand what is there which is preventing these companies from coming through IOCETN rather than they prefer a private SMO. So, what it could be?
Yeah, I think that's a very valid question because we already as before, even before the birth of clinical trial, Indian Ophthalmology Clinical Trial Network, the trials were going on, and there are established SMOs who help conduct trial in different organizations. But the thing is, these are mostly industry driven, and as I said in my starting at the start itself, that we need to look into questions that are more pertinent to in our population. And you will agree, and our data also shows that most of the industries, they are more interested in doing trials on AMD, while our registry shows that we have more number of diabetic patients in India. So there is a disconnect between what we are seeing as clinicians and what companies want us to investigate. So if we have a strong body, or if we have a stronger network, we are six now, maybe in future if each center can have five or six more centers attached to it, and if we have 30-40 centers across India, may even more, then probably even the industry people would have to think. The second thing is, not only that, uh, because now we are not as visible as the SMOs probably are to the industry, we need to make ourselves more visible, at least to the industries. That is what we need to project ourselves as a strong body, which with a very strong network. And we, because they are looking for their primary need is patients recruitment. That is what they want, and faster recruitment. If we can ensure that we would be able to do that with our strength, then probably the industry would come to us. Yes, thank you.
What we want to become would be a policy changer. That is the final this thing, because we are sponsored by government of India. Our data would be readily accessible and they are monitoring us. So whatever data that we are generating would be very, I mean, it is not pharma driven sort of data. So it will have a lot more veracity. And so policy changes is what we have to look at. Like for example, Singapore, for example, when that anti-VEGFs came in, they decided that they are going to take, single vial of bevacizumab and give to patients. What would be the economic financial impact of such a decision in Indian situation? It will be huge. I mean, instead of 5 injections, 6 injections in a year, you may require 7 injections in a year. But that really doesn't make one small vial of bevacizumab will be 500 rupees instead of shelling out 15,000 rupees per injection per patient. That is the difference in terms of retina. But in terms of each of those, whichever innovation is coming from the West, it comes with a cost. We all know that if an imaging equipment, if you have to put one software, they will say 7 lakhs, 8 lakhs. That is the cost that they are putting. So we require to customize to ourselves and be a strong network. Nataraj, yeah. Yeah, that's what I told, sir. So probably, yeah, you have to enlarge in terms of a consortium, people who are like-minded. That is why I put a one. Are you ready to collaborate with us in each of the 5,000 bags that we have put? So I think that there will be 100 people who will be interested, and when we talk to them, finally it may narrow down to 50, or finally it will materialize to 20. But that itself is a big number in India if we have like-minded people to have consortium. Because see, everybody is looking at outcome based disease, I mean, registries. Yeah, everybody is looking at that, and that is a future. Data is a future, and we have a huge volume. China has already put in a lot of registries, and they have outcome based research. So we are a little lagging behind, and we need to come up